welcome to this episode of Podcast Pod. Today we are going to talk about the do's and don'ts, rather the don'ts that an audience has to observe during a live performance, particularly a theatre or a play performance. Why did I choose to take up this as a discussion point for today? I'm an artist. I perform in plays and I enjoy watching plays too. And I have perhaps done the rounds of all the major venues in my city, either as an artist or as part of the audience. And I've enjoyed myself thoroughly in both the roles, on stage, backstage, and seated as the audience. But over the years, there are some things that I've observed and I thought I should highlight today as don'ts from our end as audiences. Let me highlight them. 1. Just before a performance, an artist is in a different zone. So is his team. And there are things and protocols or discipline that they have to adhere to. Some people go into their own spaces, try not to talk to people, and prepare themselves mentally to perform, which means they are on silent zone. And in other times, they are required to huddle as a group for certain breathing exercises or motivational exercises called for by the director of the team. Which means well before the performance, they have their makeup put on, their costumes on, and they are in a very different zone. So as people who are going to watch their performance on stage, the least sensitivity we can show as family and friends or acquaintances or people who know them is to try not to reach them over phone or on WhatsApp or any other means in order to distract them. I mean, we may be doing it inadvertently, but our reaching out at that point of time to ask for directions for the venue, to ask for details about the ticketing or any other detail can actually be deterrent to the artist who is going to go on stage. So if we really care to keep them in safe zone, in their space, ready for a performance, we will desist from trying to reach out to them. The next point. This point is the most obvious and most cliched and has been oft discussed in many places. Many major venues which are serious about theatre performances do insist that we switch off our mobile phones or at the least put it on silent mode. Some very strict venues such as Rangashankara in Bangalore, which is state of art in its outlook of theatre performances, insists on a particular time entry after which the doors are closed and also insists on switching mobile phones off, and they are very strict about adhering to this. Honestly, I appreciate that because art is to be respected, the artist is to be respected, and so the performance as well. The third point. This point is linked to our instinct, our desire to create noise during a performance. As long as we are laughing or tut-tutting, it's fine. But if we are trying to make full-blown conversation in a theatre space while there is a live performance going on stage, aren't we showing the utmost form of disrespect to the artist or / artists on stage? Why would we want to go back to the 1980s and the 1970s movie hall culture where laughter and chatter and conversation was acceptable? This is regression of the highest kind. Desist, please. Desist from doing this because it can be extremely distracting for the audience, for the artist there, as well as for the audience that is seated next to you. So respect the artist, respect your co-audiences. The last point that I'm going to bring up is not often discussed, but there is a psychological angle to it again, and I'd like to bring it up because it's also my personal experience. After the performance, again, the artist, depending on the individual and his or her traits or tendencies, the artist is ready to meet the audience after the curtain call. In many cases, the backstage team as well as the artist get ready to meet people who wish to, congratulate them or comment about the performance. There are two things that happen. Either it's the last show for the day, or the artist is slated for another show back to back on the same day. Which means if the artist is in transit, he or she is in a different zone again. The pressure is not off. Or if it's the last show for the day, then the pressure is off, but the mind is still clogged and tired with whatever happened, is trying to sink in and process the entire performance. The least we can do as an audience at that point of time is to just be polite, congratulatory, or just shake hands and say well done and make our way out. If we have a valid observation, which is in the form of harsh or constructive criticism about the play, about the performance, or what the artist himself or herself has done, then please reach out to the person later. Later, as in the next day or at a more convenient time when the artist is in a different zone. This applies to the backstage and the director as well. Please do not disturb the crew of the play with negative comments, because the one thing that you can do at that point of time is down their energy. Just completely bring it down, because suddenly the artist is thirsty, hungry, and in a place where their energy has been drained. Comments which can have a psychological impact on them, a negative psychological impact, can actually zone them out further. Why would we want to do it as an audience, as well-wishers, as family, as friends? The least we can do is keep quiet or say nothing or be diplomatic and make our way out till we can have a proper conversation with the person later. So these are the points that come top of the mind for me, for us as audiences, to remember while talking or interacting with an artist or while watching a performance. Because at the end of it, it's about respect to art, to the artist, and to the performance. So let's support the whole purpose and the cause with a full heart, with the right decorum and protocol. So that's it for now in this capsule of Smorgasbord. If you have any insight or comment or an experience to share, feel free to put a comment below. Happy to address your queries. I'll be putting the details in the rider below. And as always, would request you to like, subscribe the channel. So thank you and see you soon.